Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today, our story begins with the hopeful light of early morning, the aroma of crispy hot bread, and the boundless love Toan and DM have for their elderly savior. But friends, as they say, the calm comes before the storm. Amidst this peaceful scene of labor, a fierce undercurrent is churning in Toan's mind. A swing of the hoe, a blinding flash of sun, and then, BAM! The sky collapses right before DM's eyes. What did Toan see in those fragmented memories? Why did he collapse in the middle of the garden? And is this fall the end of their peaceful days, or the key to unlocking a bloody truth? Hold your breath as we follow this emotional and dramatic journey. Don't forget to like and subscribe to help DM and Grandma get through this life or death moment. 4:00 a.m. Before the jungle roosters on the hill even finished their first crow, while thick fog still blanketed the small wooden cabin, Toan and DM were already up. They didn't sleep in, even though their legs were aching from yesterday's trek. The promise to protect the old woman acted like an invisible alarm clock, waking them right on time. Toan stretched, inhaling the biting cold mountain air. He looked at DM, who was neatly tying up her hair, his eyes full of love. "Honey, are you tired? Why don't you stay home and rest today? I can go down to Grandma's alone." DM shook her head vigorously, handing him a warm face towel. "I'm fine. Husband and wife stick together through thick and thin. Besides, if I let you go alone, I'd be sick with worry." The couple locked the door carefully and started the descent down the mountain. The trail was blurry in the mist. They walked close together, their steps firm. Reaching the small town at the foot of the hill, people were just starting to stir. The rich aroma of freshly baked bread wafted out, waking up Toan's starving stomach. "Smells so good." Toan swallowed hard. DM laughed. "Hungry, aren't you? Let's stop and buy breakfast, for Grandma too." They stopped at a small roadside bakery. The owner had just pulled a hot batch from the oven, the crusts golden and crispy. Toan quickly ordered, "Ma'am, let me get 3 loaves. One with extra pad, extra char siu pork, and just a little chili. That one's for my grandma. She likes it soft." "And the other 2?" the seller asked. Toan looked at DM, then laughed it off. "For those 2, load them up with veggies and pickles. Less meat is fine. We're eating healthy." In reality, Toan wanted to save money. He wanted to save the best portion for the old woman. DM understood her husband's intention. She turned away to wipe a tear from the corner of her eye. This man, despite losing his memory and forgetting his billionaire identity, had never lost his generous spirit and filial heart. Holding the 3 warm loaves wrapped in newspaper, radiating heat into their palms, they continued on their way, bringing simple joy to the thatched cottage. When Toan and DM arrived, the old woman was sweeping the yard. Seeing her children arrive early, she was overjoyed, dropping the broom to run and welcome them. "My goodness, why are you here so early? It's freezing. You'll get sick," she fussed, holding DM's freezing hands. "We're strong as oxen, Grandma. Look, I bought you a special banh mi." Toan held up the bag to show off. The 3 of them spread a sedge mat on the porch, sitting together for breakfast. Holding the meat-filled sandwich Toan bought the old woman was moved to tears. "In all my years, I've never eaten bread this delicious. Aren't you 2 eating meat? Why is it all veggies?" Toan grinned, crunching into his crispy bread. "Grandma, I'm dieting to keep my supermodel figure. You just eat. Seeing you eat well makes me full." The morning atmosphere was incredibly peaceful. Birds chirped in the guava trees, accompanied by the sound of crunching bread. The worries about the stalker temporarily subsided, giving way to the warmth of family. After eating, Toan took a sip of fresh green tea, slapped his thigh, and stood up with energy. All right, recharged and ready. Time to work. He pointed to the large garden in front of the house. Today, Diem and I are going to launch an all-out attack on this garden. The weeds are out of control. It's a waste of land. What's the plan? Grandma asked. I've got it figured out. Today I'll till the soil and make rows to plant mustard greens and water spinach. Mustard greens grow fast this season. We can sell them in just 20 days. Diem added, What about the chicken coop, honey? Toan scratched his head. The coop will have to wait until tomorrow, Grandma. Clearing the garden will take all our energy today. Tomorrow I'll go beg for some bamboo to reinforce it. The old one is so rickety, a gust of wind could blow it away. Okay. Whatever you arrange. I'm too old to do much. I'll just boil some tea for you two. The old woman smiled gently. The sun began to rise high, piercing through the jackfruit tree canopy and beating down intensely on the garden. Toan took off his shirt, revealing broad shoulders and toned muscles. He swung the hoe with power. Thud, thud, thud. The soil here was sandy and easy to till, but because it had been abandoned for so long, the wiregrass was thick with deep roots. Toan had to use all his strength to rip the clods of earth up. Diem, wearing a conical hat, followed behind him to pick weeds and break up the soil. Take it easy, honey. The sun is getting hot, Diem warned, seeing sweat streaming down his back. Don't worry, I'm feeling strong. Toan laughed, his hands still working the hoe swiftly. The sound of the hoe hitting the earth, crickets chirping, and the wind rustling created a passionate rhythm of labor. But Toan didn't know that overexertion under the hot sun, combined with his old traumatic brain injuries, hadn't fully healed, silently triggering a seismic shock within his brain. By around 10 o'clock a.m., the sun began to blaze. Toan swung the hoe high to strike a stubborn, dry stump. At that exact moment, the sun reflected off the shiny metal blade. A beam of light pierced straight into Toan's eyes, blinding. Toan squinted, and suddenly, boom, an explosion went off in his head. Not outside, but inside his mind. A splitting headache struck unexpectedly and violently, like someone had smashed a sledgehammer into his temple. Toan dropped the hoe. Clank. He clutched his head, staggering back a few steps. Toan, what's wrong? Diem heard the hoe fall, looked up, and screamed in panic. But Toan could no longer hear Diem. The world around him spun out of control. The green of the vegetable garden, the yellow of the sunlight. Everything blurred into a kaleidoscope. And then darkness fell. In that darkness, an old, blurry, blood-soaked film reel began to rewind at breakneck speed. He saw fire, a ferocious inferno swallowing a large warehouse, black smoke billowing up. He saw blood, bright red blood, flowing over his hands. He was holding something, a lighter or a gun. And then a voice pierced the darkness in his head, crystal clear. Kill him. Don't let him escape. Get the iron box. Gunshots. Bang bang. A woman in a white dress fell right in front of him. She turned to look at him, her eyes filled with pleading and despair. That woman's face? Toan strained his eyes to see. Who was she? That face? Why was it so familiar? Was it Mother Thu or Diem? "Ara!" Toan screamed in agony, clutching his head with both hands as if trying to crush it to escape the horrific images. The veins in his brain felt like strings about to snap. His heart beat out of rhythm. The pain was beyond human endurance. "Toan, Toan, don't scare me!" DM rushed over, but she was too late. Toan's tall frame collapsed like a felled ancient tree. He hit the freshly tilled earth hard, completely unconscious. His face was deadly pale. His lips turned purple, and sweat soaked his shirt, as if he had been caught in the rain. Grandma helped Toan. He fainted. DM screamed through her tears, her trembling hands supporting her husband's head. The old woman, who was boiling water in the kitchen, heard the terrified scream. She dropped her coconut ladle and ran out stumbling. "Oh, dear Buddha, what happened to my boy?" Seeing Toan lying motionless, she was panicked, but maintained the composure of an elder. "Quick, drag him into the shade of that jackfruit tree. It's heat stroke or a wind chill." So, using all her strength with the old woman's frail assistance, DM dragged Toan into the shade. The old woman rushed to get medicated oil and a wet towel. DM sat on the ground, placing Toan's head on her lap. Her tears fell like rain onto his mud-streaked face. "Toan, wake up. Don't leave me. We just started our new life." DM wiped the dirt from his face and pressed on his acupressure points. But Toan lay still, his breathing weak and interrupted. The old woman brought out a bowl of ginger water, prying his mouth open to spoon it in. "I pray to the heavens. The boy has suffered enough. Don't make him suffer anymore." She murmured prayers as she worked. The space sank into a terrifying silence. Only DM's sobbing and the rustling of jackfruit leaves could be heard. Suddenly, Toan's eyelids fluttered. "He's moving, Grandma," DM cried out. Toan slowly opened his eyes. But his gaze was strange. It was no longer the gentle, innocent look of the cauliflower seller. It was sharp, confused, and filled with deep terror. He looked at DM, looked at the old woman, then looked down at his own calloused hands. His lips moved, forcing out disjointed words. "Fire, burning, Mom, the box. It's not." Then he gripped DM's wrist, squeezing so hard it hurt her. "Run. They're here. They're going to kill everyone." After saying that, Toan slipped back into the void, sinking into a deep coma. Dear friends, what did Toan see? Who was the woman in the white dress falling in the fire? And his final words, "They're here," was it delirium or a warning from his subconscious about a danger truly closing in right now? Will this collapse help Toan regain his memory, or has it caused severe brain damage? And while Toan is unconscious, who will protect the three of them if the enemy appears? DM immediately rushed to get Toan to the hospital. She walked beside him, shaking him frantically. "Toan, honey, don't scare me. Wake up, please." DM's voice cracked in the wind, sobbing and hopeless. She slapped Toan's cheek, but the only response was a terrifying silence and a face drained of blood. The old woman, hands trembling violently, pulled out her old brick phone and dialed the district emergency number. "Hello, emergency. Someone fainted. Simhill, please hurry." Her voice was distorted by crying. The wait for the ambulance felt like a century. Every second that passed felt like a knife cutting into DM's heart. She hugged Toan's head tight, tears streaming onto his face. "You promised to protect me. Why are you lying here? Wake up. I don't need vegetables. I don't need money. I just need you." Finally, the wailing siren, "Wee woo," wee woo sounded in the distance, tearing through the countryside silence. The ambulance sped onto the bumpy dirt road. Nurses quickly jumped out, loading Toan onto the stretcher and wheeling him into the vehicle. DM and the old woman hurried in after him. The doors slammed shut. The ambulance sped away, leaving behind a cloud of dust and scattered gardening tools, evidence of a morning labor left unfinished. Inside the ambulance, DM gripped Toan's ice-cold hand tight. She pressed it against her cheek, whispering incessantly, "Hang in there, honey. We're almost there. Hang in there." The heart monitor beeped. Beep, beep, beep. Steady but weak, like a countdown on a life. The district hospital was packed today. The pungent smell of antiseptic assaulted everyone's nose, making stomachs turn. The gurney carrying Toan was wheeled straight into the emergency room. The glass doors slid shut. The red light turned on. The sign, "No Unauthorized Entry," coldly separated DM from her beloved husband. DM collapsed onto the waiting bench, burying her face in her hands, sobbing. Her mud-stained clothes drew pitying glances from those around her, but she didn't care. Right now, her entire world lay behind those doors. The old woman sat beside her, her small frame curled up. She took DM's hand, her wrinkled, aged skin rubbing against the young girl's rough palm. "It's my fault. I let him work too hard. I've sinned against you too." The old woman sniffled tears, tracking down her hollow cheeks. DM quickly wiped her tears, turning to hug the grandmother. "Don't say that, Grandma. It's not your fault. It's just his old illness coming back. Don't blame yourself. Toan would be sad if he knew." Though her heart was a tangled mess of worry, DM tried to stay strong to support the old woman. She knew if she crumbled now, Grandma would break down completely. 1 hour, 2 hours passed. The emergency room doors remained shut tight. Every time a doctor came out, DM would spring up and rush over, only to see them shake their heads or say, "Wait a little longer." The weight gnawed at the soul, more terrible than any physical pain. Finally, the red light turned off. The doors opened. A middle-aged doctor stepped out, removing his mask, beads of sweat on his forehead. DM and the old woman rushed forward like a whirlwind. "Doctor, how is my husband? Is he okay? Doctor, is his life in danger?" The doctor looked at their panicked faces and smiled reassuringly. "Please calm down. The patient is out of critical danger." Hearing this, DM nearly collapsed with relief. The old woman clasped her hands, bowing to thank the heavens. The doctor explained further. Preliminary examination shows the patient suffered heat stroke from working too long in the sun. Combined with his history of traumatic brain injury, his nervous system was overstimulated, leading to fainting. His pulse and blood pressure are now stable. He just needs rest IV fluids and observation to ensure there are no further effects on his brain function. "So he's really okay?" DM asked to be sure. "That's correct. You can rest assured. We are moving him to a recovery room now. Family can visit, but please keep it quiet." When Toan was wheeled into a regular room, the sky had turned dark. He lay on the hospital bed, a bit of color returning to his face, his breathing steady as if in a deep sleep. The old woman stood by the bed, holding Toan's hand, refusing to let go, insisting on staying for the night shift. "Let me stay and watch him. You go home and rest, DM. You've had a hard day," she demanded stubbornly. DM looked at the grandmother, compassion swelling in her heart. She was old and frail, and after such a terrifying day, If she stayed up all night at the hospital, she would surely fall ill tomorrow. DM gently guided her to a chair, speaking kindly. "Grandma, listen to me. Toan is fine now. The doctor said he just needs sleep to recover. The beds here are cramped. How will you sleep? Go home and rest, and tomorrow, when you're strong, you can cook him some porridge and visit." But the old woman hesitated. "No buts. If you get sick, Toan will wake up and blame me for not taking care of you. Go home. I'll call a motorbike taxi to take you right to your gate." Faced with DM's firm but loving insistence, the old woman finally nodded. She looked at Toan one last time, gave DM a dozen instructions, and then quietly left. Watching her hunched back disappear down the hospital corridor, DM silently vowed to take good care of Toan so she could bring him back to Grandma soon. Late at night, the hospital sank into silence. DM sat by the bed, gripping Toan's hand. She didn't dare sleep. She was afraid if she closed her eyes, the machines would beep, or something would happen to Toan. She gazed at her husband's face under the dim yellow nightlight. Today, before he fainted, Toan had screamed strange things. "Fire! Burning! Mom! They're coming to kill everyone!" Those words haunted DM. Was his memory slowly returning? And if he remembered everything, would he still be the innocent Toan who loved her unconditionally? Or would he revert to being a distant chairman and leave her? The fear of losing Toan crept into DM's heart, but she pushed it away. She told herself, "Whoever you are, as long as you're healthy, that's enough. If you remember and want to leave, I will accept it." Suddenly, Toan stirred. He frowned, mumbling in his dream, "DM, don't go. Wait for me." DM burst into tears. She squeezed his hand tight. "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here with you." Toan's sleep-talking was like a sedative steadying DM's faith. Whether in his subconscious or reality, he always needed her. The next morning, bright sunlight flooded through the hospital window. Toan woke up. Although his body still ached slightly, he looked much fresher. "Wifey, where am I?" Toan asked, confused. "You're in the hospital. You decided to play hero of the fields yesterday and passed out cold, scaring Grandma and me to death." DM scolded him affectionately as she peeled an apple. Toan scratched his head, grinning sheepishly. Hey, sorry. Maybe I just saw how beautiful my wife looked and got love-struck. Literally. Note a play on the word for heat stroke. Although Toan was alert, DM was still extremely cautious. She demanded the doctor perform a comprehensive checkup on his head. "Go on, honey. Let's get the scans for peace of mind. If your brain goes haywire and you forget who I am, I'll just die," DM said, pushing Toan in the wheelchair. They spent the entire morning dragging each other through various departments: skull x-rays, CT scans, cerebral ultrasounds. Toan obediently followed every doctor's order, his eyes glued to DM, as if terrified she might vanish. Finally, the doctor walked into the room, holding a medical file, a bright smile on his face. "Congratulations to the happy couple. The scan results are excellent. There are no blood clots, no new damage. His old injuries are also healing well. The fainting spell yesterday was purely due to exhaustion and heat stroke." "Is that really true, Dr. No impact on his brain?" DM asked repeatedly to be sure. "He is fine. His brain function is normal. However, I advise him to avoid heavy labor in the scorching sun and stay away from strong psychological shocks. Just rest and eat well, and he'll be healthy as a horse. Diem breathed a sigh of relief, as if a 1,000-pound weight had been lifted from her shoulders. She turned and hugged Toan tightly. "Thank goodness. Honey, you're okay." Toan smiled, wrapping his arms around his wife. "I told you I'm made of steel. With a wife taking care of me like this, how could I stay sick?" Dear friends, the storm has passed, leaving a clear blue sky for the young couple. The doctor's conclusion acts as a guarantee, helping them believe more firmly in the future. But is everything is fine really fine? What was that memory of the fire and the woman Toan saw before he fainted? Was it just a hallucination from heat stroke, or a crucial piece of the past trying to surface? And when they return to the old woman's house, will those stalkers still be lurking? Toan's journey to recovery still holds many mysteries. Leave a comment saying, "Get well soon, Toan," to share your joy with the couple. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe immediately. The next episode, The Secret Under Toan's Pillow and the Appearance of the Stranger, has some surprisingly interesting twists waiting for you. Goodbye, and see you next time.